Hello, my name is Marissa Christian, and I want you to take a moment and think. Have you ever had a friend that when you needed their help, that they were nowhere to be found, but yet they always came to you when they needed help? According to Aesop's fable that I viewed on March 15th, called The Two Fellows and the Bear, it made a very good point that you should never trust a friend that leaves you when you are in a pinch. Most of us, at some point in our lives, have had a friend that we have realized wasn't so much a friend to us as we were to them. Today, I will talk about two examples that oh my gosh, the realization of who is a friend and who is not. First, I will tell you about Aesop's fable, The Two Fellows and the Bear. Then I will share my own personal story with you as well. In Aesop's fable, The Two Fellows and the Bear, there's two travelers and they are walking through the woods together when a bear runs up on them, and one of the travelers climbs up in a tree and hides himself behind the leaves, leaving the other traveler all alone. And the other traveler just hides on the ground and just lays flat and has his face in the dirt. So the bear comes up and sniffs around and ultimately shakes his head and lets out a growl and just walks off. When the traveler comes out of the tree, he asks his friend, "What did he say to you?" And he replied that he said to never trust a friend that leaves you when you're in a pinch. In relation to the two travelers, I've also had the same experience of finding this out. I had a girl that I considered one of my best friends since I was in eighth grade, and up until 4 years ago, she was my best friend. In high school, she didn't have such a good home life and she wanted a way out. So my family opened up our home for her and she stayed with us up until she graduated high school and then she moved out. But we continued to be best friends after that. When she had her first child, we became even closer. And when she needed help with him, picking him up from daycare and things like that, I always helped her. When she needed money for bills, I always helped with that in any way that I could. I would take her to doctor's appointments, to the grocery store, to work when her car was broke down, anything like that. I always helped, no questions asked. I never hesitated. Now, as I mentioned before, we aren't friends anymore, and we haven't been, and we have not talked in 4 years now. Our friendship came to a stop when I was the one that needed the help. I usually don't get myself in binds very often, and yet the one time that I was the one that needed the help, and I went to her and asked for help, she couldn't help and decided, I guess, that that's how she wanted to end things. My paycheck was short because I was sick and I was really desperate to pay my car insurance because it was about to lapse. And when I was talking to her on the phone about that and telling her about my situation, she suddenly needed to get off of the phone and told me that she would call me back. But she never did. She quit answering my phone calls. She wouldn't reply to my text messages. And that was the last that I'd ever heard from her. Now, obviously, my story is quite different than the fable, but in the end, the traveler in the fable and I were both left alone in very vulnerable situations. Now, as explained in the fable and through my own personal experience, you should never trust a friend that leaves you in a pinch. Someone who is willing to leave you when you're in a pinch, but always takes the help that you offer them. In the end, I learned that people will always show their true colors and that you will always find out if they are a real friend or not when you are put into tough situations. Thank you. Are there any questions?